Welcome everyone to Half History Will Travel. I am your host, the Wilder Historian, and when we last left Thomas, he had just won a major victory at the Battle of Nashville. Now we will see what happens to the Virginian as the war comes to an end. If you didn't know, I do have a George Thomas shirt design on my Teespring store, so please check it out. Each purchase helps this channel grow. Not only did he receive compliments from the Lincoln administration, but the cities of Louisville and Cincinnati wanted to send him gifts and money, but he told them to use the money to establish a relief fund for disabled veterans, widows, and orphans from the war. Furthermore, the Union armies outside of Richmond and the Shenandoah Valley gave a 200-gun salute, and on December 24th, Lincoln nominated Thomas for the rank of Major General in the regular army. When Thomas received the dispatch about his promotion, he cast it aside in disgust and stated, "I suppose it is better late than never, but it is too late to be appreciated. I earned this at Chickamauga." Clearly, Thomas was still sore about Grant wanting to replace him. Thomas later said, "I thought after what I had done in the war that I ought to be trusted to decide when the battle should be fought. I thought I knew better when it should be fought than anyone could know as far off as City Point, Virginia." Sherman wrote to him from Savannah on December 25th, stating, "I do not believe your own wife was more happy at the result than I was. Had any misfortune befallen you, I should have reproached myself for taking away so large a proportion of the army and leaving you too weak to cope with Hood. But as events have turned out, my judgment has been sustained. But I am none the less thankful to you, and to Schofield, and to all. Thomas wasted no time in pursuing Hood. He needed pontoons to cross the Harpeth River, so he ordered the officer in charge of the pontoons to take the Murfreesboro Pike toward Columbia. He meant to write Franklin Pike instead of Murfreesboro Pike, since that pike did not go to Columbia. However, the officer in charge of the pontoons took the road as directed by Thomas and found himself going in the wrong direction. He tried to correct the mistake by taking country roads to cut to the Franklin Pike, but the heavy rains made it impossible to cross over those smaller roads. The officer had to double back to Nashville to get on the right road. Thomas never mentioned the error in his report. This evasiveness and dishonesty, which was out of character for Thomas, indicates how embarrassed he was by his mistake. Pursuit of Hood's army began at 9 a.m. on December 16th, with Thomas's cavalry fighting the rear guard of the rebels. The enemy destroyed the bridge across the Harpeth River, which delayed the Union crossing. More rain swelled the rivers and muddied the roads, so much so that the pursuit slowed down to a snail's pace. General Henry Halleck urged Thomas to move more quickly, becoming frustrated at the slowness. Thomas fired back at him that pursuing an enemy through an exhausted country over mud roads completely sogged with rains is no child's play and cannot be accomplished as quickly as thought of. Try as he might, Thomas could not catch Hood. Confederate Cavalier Nathan Bedford Forrest fought an excellent rearguard action, while Hood's army made its way into Alabama and across the Tennessee River. A couple of days after the battle, Thomas went to the left side of his line to examine the field where his men had won a great victory. This section was where the African American soldiers fought. He saw the black soldiers intermingled with the white soldiers, and realized that they had made it the same distance into the Confederate works, and fought to take and hold that position. He turned to his staff and said, "Gentlemen, the question is settled. Blacks will fight." He later remarked, "This proves the manhood of the black man." One of Thomas's biographers stated, "As a professional soldier, Thomas valued courage, self-discipline, and devotion to duty, and he considered these virtues to be among the highest moral qualities that a person could possess. His low opinion of blacks and his reluctance to use black soldiers in combat had resulted from his opinion that they lacked these qualities, a view common among Southerners, but particularly strong with Thomas before the war. At Nashville, however, black soldiers not only met white standards of discipline, courage, and duty, but exceeded them. Some of the white units involved in Steedman's attack broke and fled, but all of the black regiments continued the attack, despite suffering extremely heavy casualties. The soldiers' courage and discipline proved to Thomas that blacks possessed the moral attributes that he considered fundamental to full humanity. Thomas came to think that African Americans had shown themselves through military service to be true men, and that they therefore deserved to be treated as full citizens. For the rest of his life, Thomas strongly supported civil, political, and legal equality for African Americans. With the threat of the Army of Tennessee gone, and what was left of it going to North Carolina to attempt to stop Sherman, Thomas was left with an army but no enemy to fight. Grant, Sherman, and Halleck came up with a plan that would rip Thomas's command away from him. One corps would be sent to help in the capture of Mobile. Another was sent to Maryland, where it would be shipped by sea to North Carolina, and much of his cavalry would be sent on raids into Alabama and the mountains of North Carolina. Without a large body of troops to command, Thomas settled into doing lots of paperwork and coordinating what troops he had to deal with guerrilla threats. When Robert E. Lee abandoned Richmond, Grant ordered Thomas to prepare a force in East Tennessee in order to block Lee if he headed west or south. But Lee would surrender before any of that would take place. Before the summer came on, all major Confederate threats had surrendered, and it would become an occupation of the South.